This influencer has over 20 years of experience in the beauty industry. She looked you straight in the camera and she told you that the LUXE Foundation is the best on the market for mature skin. There's one problem though. She is actually artificial intelligence. She is not real.
Kylie Skin Tint.
1 out of 10, cute branding, almost no coverage, and absolutely useless for real events or long days.
KKW Beauty.
8 out of 10. Clean, polished, camera friendly, not revolutionary, but it actually performs really well.
Rare Beauty.
2 out of 10. Pretty for an hour, then it fades, separates, and reminds you it's not made for long wear. And Fenty Pro Filter.
8 out of 10, great shade range and serious staying power, but you have to prep properly or it will show texture fast.
Luxe.
11 out of 10.
Yeah.
A lot of celebs are loving it when I put this on their faces. And the wild part is I just order it on Amazon.
That face that you see, the credentials that she claims to have, it is all AI generated content and it is commissioned by Luxe, the brand. And it was published without a single word of disclosure to you, the customer, that AI generated content was used for that video. So what you're watching it's not a review of the LUXE Foundation. It's actually a strategic constructed deception to look like a review of the LUXE Foundation that is AI generated to promote the LUXE Foundation. It is a manufactured testimonial. It is not a trustworthy, analysis. It is not anything that is credible because that person who is giving you that analysis of the LUXE Foundation is AI generated. They're not real. They're fake. It's all happening right now. We are seeing a lot of AI generated content, and at scale, this is happening across the beauty industry. This video is honestly not the first one that I have seen across the beauty space or across creator space in general. AI content is becoming much more prominent in the creator space. While some do disclose it, a lot of them are not disclosing it. Specifically for Luxe, this brand, they have generated, an expert who has built their reputation and who testifies that Luxe is one of the best foundations out there. And in reality, it is just AI generated content. And that is what we are looking at today. We're examining the evidence. Who's doing it? AI generated content, what it is actually costing them, and what, if anything, the government is doing in regards to AI generated content and regulations. Let's be honest for a minute, it is becoming increasingly hard to determine what is AI generated and what is actually a real person on screen. Even companies who are using this technology to create AI to advertise their products, it is becoming so hard to tell if that's real or not. And the biggest question is why? Why are they using AI generated content? From a marketing perspective, when you pay an influencer to promote your product, you are honestly having to dish out sometimes a lot of money. If you look at a mid-sized influencer, they could charge a brand, any brand, anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000 for a paid partnership, a paid sponsorship that goes on their platforms. And there is little return, little promise with that whole sponsored post. You don't know if you're going to be getting an ROI on that content that you are sponsoring. And this can definitely be detrimental to brands if it does not return any kind of revenue for that company. So with that in mind, the industry has found an alternative. And it's not just in the beauty industry that we're seeing this. We're actually seeing this across several industries where AI is being used. And that alternative is AI generated influencers. They are computer generated. And So I did some research into why this is, and we kind of touched on that by talking about like, how much an influencer can, charge a brand for a sponsorship. But according to builtin.com, brands are drawn to AI influencers because AI allows brands a more creative freedom. They are cost efficient and they can have control over the messaging that is used with AI generated content. Their article states AI influencers are blending cutting edge technology with interesting new storytelling methods, making influencer marketing a more customizable, creative, and cost effective option. AI influencers are highly customizable. They aren't limited by the confines of time, space, or physics. Their creators can make them look and act however they want, and can make alterations with just a few lines of code. This flexibility allows brands to be much more creative with how their products are marketed and lets them push the boundaries of what is possible in their advertising. We're talking about an influencer who never gets sick, who never ages, who never has a scandal, hopefully. I mean, there is controversy about using AI generated content, but in context, who never has a scandal, and they are essentially immortal. Like I said, they don't age. And they don't push back on messaging or partnership pricing because the brand is making that AI generated person. It's not a real person negotiating a contract. Every word, every expression, every recommendation that AI generated person, I say person loosely, but that AI generated thing creates, it's all cost effective and it is all headache free for that brand. So what can AI really do for brands? So while it may allow for creative freedom, for, messaging control, for, cost efficiency, more or less, what does it cost the brand? What kind of cost does it come with? Like I said, there are a lot of controversial things about AI and how it's being used. Nielsen IQ, they did conduct a study on the hidden consumer attitudes toward AI generated ads, and they presented their findings in January of 2025 at the Consumer Electronics Show, which is CES. Their study highlighted that there are 4 key research findings when using AI generated advertisements. And let's go over these because these are super important for what it costs the brand when they're using AI generated content. So the first key finding, the negative brand halo. Consumers are identifying AI advertisements and finding them to be boring, annoying, or even deceptive. So Nielsen IQ does write that consumers intuitively identified most of the AI generated ads, perceiving them as less engaging and more annoying, boring, and confusing than traditional ads. These sentiments suggest that AI generated ads may create a negative halo effect that could dampen consumer perception of both the ad and the brand. Key finding number 2 was weak memory activation, and there stands a misalignment with the consumer and AI generated content. Even if the AI generated ad is perceived as high quality, consumers do not relate to it and it's not committed to memory. So Nielsen does write that AI generated ads, even those perceived as high quality, elicited weaker memory activation in the brain compared to traditional ads. This reaction suggests a misalignment between the context, the content, and existing memory structures, a gap that could impede consumers' motivation to act. And what they mean by act is like, make a purchase. Finding number 4 was branding reinforcement, pros and cons. So the negative halo effect of AI-generated ads overrides any successful reinforcement of brand association. They wrote, by drawing from pre-existing visual and conceptual representations, AI-generated ads successfully reinforced existing brand associations. Coupled with the negative halo effect, however, this benefit could be outweighed by overall negative perceptions. They also have cognitively taxing visuals. So low quality AI advertisements affect an ad's deliverability. Like if it's a horrible AI advertisement and you can tell that it is, it's definitely going to affect how it is perceived by the consumer. And it can be distracting by the consumer who is dissecting whether AI was used versus what the actual messaging is. Low quality visuals in the AI generated ads increase the cognitive effort required to process them, distracting from the intended message. High quality execution is essential for effective storytelling and brand communication. According to IAB, new research has found that Gen Z and millennial consumers are feeling less positive about AI generated content and advertising than ad executives think they do. So millennials would be like my age and Gen Z is the generation after that. So furthermore, Gen Z and millennials, they are also finding they are more receptive to the use of AI in advertising when it is transparent, so disclosed, which can lead to a higher purchasing likelihood. So if it is an AI generated advertisement, but they've disclosed it's AI, we are more likely to purchase, to make a purchasing decision and go through with it. IAB also writes that generative AI is now a cornerstone for video creation, especially in advertising, which is scary. 86% of buyers who are using or planning to use AI to build video and creative, according to a 2025 digital video ad spending strategy report by IAB Beauty. 86% are planning to use it. Advertisers in the IAB Sonata Insights study are most likely to use AI for ads in social media or display, while 56% use it for TV ads and 42% for audio ads. That's according to IAB. So let's audit an example of using AI generated content in advertising to promote its product. And I mentioned this brand at the beginning of the video, which is LUXE. So we're talking about LUXE, and specifically I've seen advertisements mostly for this new LUXE Foundation, and they claim that the LUXE Foundation is supposed to be the best thing for mature skin. They're positioning themselves as the only foundation for mature skin, and they deliver measurable results. And that's what's claimed through the AI generated content. So they have mostly done this through TikTok, but I've seen them on Facebook too. And it is a TikTok advertising, and it features what appears to be an experienced beauty professional who is either a makeup artist or they've been in the makeup industry for XYZ amount of years. And they claim to have, tons of experience, and they give a testimony to different foundations, rating them out of 10. And they go through a complete list of foundations that they feel are like the best or the worst for mature skin. And they use examples like the Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation, the Maybelline Fit Me Foundation. And at the end of it all, they arrive at the same conclusion, which is that the LUXE Foundation gets a 10 out of 10. It is the best. And this is from an expert, but they're AI generated.
Read the reviews before you buy the freaking products, especially on Facebook. Because I bought the viral LUXE color changing foundation for my most important client, my mom. After seeing everybody on my timeline raving about it, I decided to buy it at full freaking price. I've been a makeup artist for 17 years and I've tried literally everything, but correct me if I'm wrong, I would say she looks about a decade younger. This foundation understood the assignment. 100% white material. She adapts to your skin and doesn't betray on the first hot flash. But if I would have read the reviews, I would have bought it when I first saw it, and it was 50% off with buy one, get one free, like it is now, but instead I paid over $80 for her. And as someone who tests foundations for a living, I'm glad that I did. But it makes me sick how freaking cheap she is now. She uses pH adaptive microbeads that react to your skin chemistry. The color builds from white to your exact shade in 60 seconds. She's not oxidizing orange by lunch. She's not setting up camp in your fine line. So if you've been wanting to try this, I would do it now while it's dirt freaking cheap.
These are not independent beauty reviews. They are AI generated to make it look like it is an independent beauty review. They are human looking, but they are actually synthetic performers. And These spaces don't belong to real people. Their voices have never been spoken by a human being, and their expertise has never been applied to an actual face. The evidence here, though, is that these are not independent beauty artists or makeup artists or people who are in the beauty industry who have built a collective audience with their reviews and with their take on the beauty industry. These are AI generated, like human-like synthesized performers. Their faces aren't real, their testimonials aren't real, and their expertise is not real either. It has never actually, like, this AI generated synthetic human looking thing has never actually applied makeup to a physical face before. And in these advertisements, they feature an environment of like a Sephora or an Ulta, which I've seen a lot of those, where it looks like, this person is being interviewed while they're at work at their local Sephora or Ulta, or they're at their personal vanity. Everything is simulated. Their credentials are fake. The conclusion is already predetermined that the LUXE Foundation is a 10 out of 10. It is the only foundation that they have found works because they've been working in the beauty industry for XYZ amount of years. Consumers who are being showed these ads by a synthetic expert are being led to believe that this is a real person with a real testimonial about this product and that they have been in the beauty industry for years. This isn't a marketing shortcut by any means. It is a false review, a false testimonial, and it has been distributed across a very fast-paced social media platform to reach as many people as it can to convince them to buy the LUXE Foundation. These videos are reaching a demographic that heavily relies on expert reviews of products to make a purchasing decision. You're not watching a review, you are watching a strategic yet deceptive advertisement from LUXE that makes it look like it is a review, and it is delivered and designed to make it look like something that you can trust. Reputation is everything, and AI only hinders that. In Nielsen IQ's findings, Marta Cyan Bowles, Chief Communications Officer and Head of Global Marketing at NIQ, cautions that AI in business can offer exciting potential for early-stage ideation and brand asset testing, but poorly executed AI content can harm brand equity. And brand equity is the overall worth of a brand, including its tangible and intangible assets. It represents both the reputation and the value of a brand as a whole, as well as the sum of its individual parts. That's how Nielsen IQ defines brand equity. And for an unknown company like LUXE, they don't actually have an established brand reputation. And their AI ads are a first impression of this brand. If that ad at any point, triggers distrust, and the Nielsen IQ data does indicate that it can do that, then the brand's reputation footing itself is very rocky and it is deceptive. And they have lost trust of the consumer even before a single unit has sold. So for any brand that chooses to deploy AI to, advertise something, the calculation is different, but it is still equally dangerous. You are gambling with your brand's reputation over years of consumer trust against a production cost savings. Based on the data, that is not a productive or a favorable trade-off. When you lose reputation as a brand, you lose customers. And overall, you lose, your revenue. In marketing, in public relations, your reputation is everything. One wrong move, one mistake, one, deception, if your brand reputation is diminished in any way, trust can be lost, and it is very hard to gain back trust. So what is the government doing about AI generated content? And this is what I found so interesting when I was doing my research, because little really has been done in the United States to regulate the use of AI generated or synthetic performers. Some states do have laws in place or will be coming effective soon for advertising. This is for AI generated content that is human-like in commercial ads, and how it must be disclosed, that some states are starting to implement this. While specific like federal AI advertising regulations and laws are not in place right now, they're in proposed stages. And we're going to look at some of the various state laws that already exist. So as of 2026, New York, which is where I live in upstate, they haven't enacted a pioneering law requiring advertisers to conspicuously disclose the use of AI-generated synthetic performers or human likeness that does not depict real people. So that's in commercial advertisements, and this is supposed to take effect in June of 2026. So the actual deadline is June 9th of 2026. So according to afslaw.com, New York was the first in the nation to enact a law requiring businesses to disclose the use of synthetic performers or artificial intelligence generated human likeness that do not depict actual living persons. Under this law, which takes effect June 9th of this year, advertisers distributing visual or audio-visual ads to New York audiences, including online and social media campaigns, must conspicuously disclose when an ad features a synthetic performer. Violations carry escalating civil penalties, giving the requirement real teeth. So let's look at the FTC, because the Federal Trade Commission, they are the ones who regulate things like this. And there's a specific section, which is Section 5 of the FTC Act. It is not AI specific, but it does say under federal law, it prohibits deceptive advertising, meaning AI content that misleads consumers, and it can be regulated by the FTC. So that is an interesting note, and I am going to leave a link to Section 5 of the FTC down below. So some states are starting to become proactive about regulations and disclosures for AI-generated content, but really nothing has come about yet, and that's a little bit scary in a PR world, in a marketing world. The verdict. Here is what the evidence is proving. AI-generated influencers are becoming increasingly indistinguishable from real humans in advertising. And the AI-generated influencers are becoming more human-like in appearance and in mannerisms. Like, you can't tell the difference between some of these because they are looking more realistic. And the technology is honestly advancing faster than regulations at this point in time that are designed to govern it. And yet, consumer data is unmistakable. Consumers are detecting these ads and they are reacting very negatively to these ads. They are already associating the brands who use AI with less trust and less motivation to purchase. The Nielsen IQ study, it is not a prediction of future risk, but it measures what is already happening inside the minds of consumers these brands are targeting. The regulatory window is closing. New York's synthetic performer disclosure law takes effect June 9th, 2026, and federal enforcement under the FTC Act is already available. More regulations do need to be implemented, though, because there are ways and loopholes that you can get through this. And these regulations need to be specifically written for AI-generated content and synthetic performers in order to ensure that the public is well informed about an advertisement that they're seeing. Because a lot of these ads are very deceptive. Like the Luxe ones are such a prime example of the deception that is taking place. While these regulations aren't here yet, honestly, it's only a matter of time before we get something that is federally in place. and it becomes another disclosure and an advertisement, or it honestly becomes something more, or it gets banned completely. Those disclosures, let's just make a note of it, is that the FTC had to regulate disclosures of sponsorships and ads at one point, and hopefully the FTC comes up with something where, you know, AI generated content also has to have that disclosure as well. But like I said, there's still tons of loopholes where influencers and brands are not fully, like, there's like a loophole with these still as well. The brands doing this to win new customers, they are manufacturing experts who do not exist, and they are posting them to social platforms like TikTok to review products that they have never actually tested. And they are doing all of this while disclosing that these so-called reviews are actually AI generated, and it's meant to secretly advertise their product. It's not an objective, informative review of different foundations on the market. That is not innovation, that's deception. That is 100% advertising deception. And there is a question that is worth asking. Before you purchase a foundation recommended by a synthetic 20-year makeup veteran, is whether anyone making the claim has ever held a brush, not necessarily if the product works. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and staying tuned to the end. If you haven't already, I definitely encourage you to subscribe for deep dives like this. I am that marketing journalistic lens on the beauty space, and I hope I get to see you guys in my next video. Bye!